done a lot of research, and I like to read research papers, and so that's where I go when I want to figure something out. A recovered memory is when your brain puts a memory aside for however long it needs to, and you really just don't remember something, just like you don't remember anything. But this one is because of a trauma generally, and it stays out of your memory until your body and brain are ready to process it. And when that happens, that's when our memories are recovered. They come back to us, and it can be a short period of time. It can be years. It can be decades. It was 32 years for me.
Are you glad you remembered?
It's a good question. Yeah, I am glad I'm glad I remembered, because I had chronic pain that was so debilitating. I mean, I didn't want to be alive. And once I remembered, that's when my healing began. So I couldn't start to heal until I remembered. If you had asked me that when I was 40, before I ruptured the disc in my neck and was in chronic pain, I might have said no, but it catches up with you. It catches up with you at some point. The trauma catches up with you, and it did with me for my chronic pain. And so yeah, if I hadn't remembered, I might still be lying lying on my bed, not moving. I was 42 years old when I recovered my memory. I had actually been getting treatment for my neck. I had had chronic neck pain for over 2 years, and I was getting an intensive treatment of myofascial release therapy, which is body work. It's kind of like massage, but it's a little more intense. And I was having a lot of emotional releases during that therapy. Just anger was coming up, and sadness, and for different things. I was frustrations. I was mad with the surgeons for cutting me open. I was mad at the nurses for not taking care of me. All these things were coming up, and I was having emotions come up, which I just didn't expect, because I was always very, very level-headed and calm, and I had it all together. So that was a little weird for me. But at the end of this 2 weeks, the morning of the last day, I had a dream. And that dream was of me and my brother as adults. But he started approaching me, and he started touching me very inappropriately. And when I woke up from that dream, that's when my memory came back. The dream reminded me of what had happened. And obviously, it wasn't exactly what happened, because we were adults in the dream, but I was likely 10 years old when my brother molested me. And when I remembered, um, it was it was the most bizarre experience of my life, I guess I would say. I I had this sense that I had known it all the time when I first remembered, but at the same time, I was like, I know I didn't know this. And if I did know this, I wouldn't have behaved my whole life the way I had. I couldn't make sense of it, because I actually had a very, very lovely childhood that I remembered. Good upbringing. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a psychologist. Everything was great. Um, so this was very bizarre to me, to think that I didn't remember this, and it had been 32 years. It was so vivid and so clear that I felt like it had just been sitting in a little box in a place that was stuck in my brain somewhere, and it had never been opened, and it was never touched. There was there was nothing that changed that memory. Like normal memories, over time you might forget a little bit, things happen in life. This was just pristine, and it was so clear. Um, so I guess I knew it was true. It just was true. It was a memory. And then after I remembered, I felt like I needed corroboration, because even though I felt in my soul that this was true, I needed to know. And I was lucky that my brother was around. So I emailed him and asked him, and he corroborated it, and he even ultimately apologized. So I was very lucky to get that information and to get an apology. In the 90s, I think there was a lot about false memories. And so now I knew mine was true. So I felt good that I could go out speaking very confidently that this is real, this is true, this happens. Um, and there are other reasons now that I can tell that it's true as well. my parents found a letter in the attic of their house when they were moving, and they brought it to me, and they showed it to me, and it was a letter of me writing to my mother when I was 10, asking her if I could sleep with her. And in the corner of the letter, my dad wrote, "When mom wouldn't sleep with daughter." And the note was just this scathing message to my mother. I hate you, just this awful letter. And I don't ever remember feeling that way about my mom. I mean, I had a great mom. She was very supportive, and that's what I always remembered. But I have this 10-year-old stuck in me who felt rejected. I looked back at other things that I decided, made sense now, that some behaviors. I mean, I had a situation with a coworker who was a peer. I felt like he was like a brother. And he essentially asked if he wanted to have an affair with me. And I was so angry. I've never been this angry in my life before. And I couldn't figure out why. I mean, I was angry. It made sense because I didn't want to have an affair. I was happily married. Like, why is he approaching me like this? And we were friends. We shared an office, so we were friends. And then this happened, and I was just so incensed, and my heart, like, I would be in my office and just my heart racing, and I was, I couldn't figure out why. Now it makes sense to me that somebody, a brother-like figure, was approaching me inappropriately. My abuse appears pretty minor. It is, the actual action was pretty minor. The effect was not minor.
And how many times did that happen?
It happened just once.
When you compare it to someone's story like yours, Mary, which is much more severe and lengthy and just a whole nother category than mine. But we still have recovered memories of what happened to us. So it doesn't necessarily matter how bad the abuse was.